how to build a high-performance B2B sales team. Set the context. Winning in B2B sales is harder and more system-driven than it used to be. Building a high-performance B2B sales team today isn't about finding a couple of naturals and hoping they carry the number. With only 24.3% of salespeople exceeding annual quota and more than 40% of assigned revenue targets going unmet in 2025, consistent performance has to be engineered through structure, process, coaching, and data quality. At the same time, buyers have raised the bar on what they'll tolerate from sellers. 61% of B2B buyers now say they prefer an overall rep-free buying experience, and 73% actively avoid suppliers who send irrelevant outreach, which means spray and pray outbound is no longer just ineffective, it's brand damage. The teams that still grow are the ones that run sales like a production system. Clear roles, tight handoffs, measurable leading indicators, and a coaching cadence grounded in real conversations. In practice, that's how you turn a sales org from quarterly heroics into predictable pipeline and revenue. Design around the modern buyer journey, not your internal org chart. Most B2B buyers do their homework without you, and sellers only get a small window to influence the decision. Research commonly cited in modern sales benchmarks shows buyers spend roughly 17% of total buying time with potential suppliers, so every touchpoint has to earn its place. Digital is now the default environment for revenue teams. Gartner has projected that about 80% of B2B sales interactions would occur through digital channels by 2025, which is why strong remote selling fundamentals, tight messaging, clean data, fast follow-up, and integrated tools matter as much as, or more than, in-person presence. This is also why high-performing teams stop treating outbound as more activity and start treating it as more relevance. If your cold email agency or outbound sales agency motion isn't built on a tight ICP and buyer-specific context, you'll get ignored at best and blocked at worst. Build an org structure that matches how revenue is actually created. High-performance teams specialize roles so that prospecting, discovery, and closing each get the focus they deserve. In most B2B motions, SDRs/BDRs own first-touch conversations and qualification. AEs own discovery and deal strategy. And post-sale roles, CSMs/AMs, protect retention and expansion. Because mixing everything together usually means nothing gets done well. A simple way to pressure test your structure is to look at where your AEs spend their time. If they're prospecting more than roughly a third of the week, you likely need more SDR capacity or a better SDR system so AEs can concentrate on pipeline progression, multi-threading, and closing. When you need coverage fast, sales outsourcing can be a strategic lever, especially for outbound-heavy teams. An outsourced sales team or SDR agency can handle consistent top-of-funnel execution, cold calling services, cold email agency programs, list-building services, while your internal sellers stay focused on the work only they can do, running high-quality discovery and winning deals. Hire for competencies, then treat ramp time like a revenue KPI. One of the most expensive mistakes we see is hiring for charisma instead of competencies. Flashy talkers can look great in interviews, but the teams that win hire for coachability, resilience, curiosity, and writing clarity, especially for SDRs. Then validate those traits with structured interviews, role plays, and a short writing sample, not gut feel. Ramp time is where good intentions turn into missed quarters. Benchmarks commonly cited in ramp calculators show SDRs often take about 3 months to reach full productivity, while AEs can take 4 to 9+ months depending on segment. So onboarding needs to be a defined 30, 60, 90 system with skills milestones, activity targets, and pipeline goals. Turnover makes ramp even more painful, and SDR churn is often north of 30% in many markets, meaning you're constantly paying the new hire tax. Some analyses estimate replacing one SDR costs around $97,690 after recruiting, onboarding, tools, and lost pipeline, which is why a repeatable enablement and coaching process is a financial lever, not an HR detail. High-performance sales teams don't rely on talent to figure it out. They build a system that makes good execution the default. Build an outbound engine buyers don't hate: ICP, data quality, and message discipline. Outbound still works, but only when targeting and relevance are non-negotiable. With 73% of buyers avoiding suppliers that send irrelevant outreach, the fastest way to sabotage a B2B cold calling services program is to point a cold calling team at a messy list and generic scripts. Treat list building and segmentation like core revenue operations. Data quality is a meaningful driver of cold outreach performance, so define your ICP, validate contacts with multiple sources, and require lightweight account research before sending, because a smaller list that's right will outperform a massive list that's wrong. This is where specialized partners can help when you need execution at scale. At SalesHive, we operate as a sales development agency built for consistent outbound, tight ICP alignment, disciplined sequencing, and daily activity management across email and B2B cold calling, so your AEs get qualified conversations rather than noise. Manage with leading indicators and coach to live conversations, not dashboards. Another common mistake is managing only by lagging metrics like closed revenue. By the time revenue misses show up, the real problems, bad targeting, weak messaging, poor qualification, or broken handoffs, have already been compounding for weeks. High-performance teams run the week off leading indicators: conversations to meetings, meetings held rate, meeting to opportunity conversion, and opportunity progression by stage. Notably, BDRs often perform better on quota. Some benchmarks cite around 88% average attainment because their targets are closer to controllable activities. So build your SDR management system around what reps can actually influence daily. Coaching is the multiplier that turns those indicators into behavior change. Block weekly time to review call recordings, cold call services talk tracks, and email threads. Then coach one observable skill at a time: openers, question flow, next steps, so feedback is specific, repeatable, and not just try harder. Fix the silent killers: churn, burnout, and spray and pray execution. Spray and pray outbound is the easiest way to burn domains, pipeline, and morale at the same time. If your team is blasting the same message to everyone, you'll see it in reply quality, spam complaints, and declining connect rates, especially as buyers spend more time self-serving and less time talking to reps. Burnout is usually a systems issue, not a motivation issue. SDRs need realistic quotas, a clean territory and routing model, and a clear career path: senior SDR, AE, RevOps, or management, so top performers can see a future. Otherwise, you end up paying that replacement cost again and again. If you're scaling, use an SDR agency or B2B sales agency partner intentionally rather than as a band-aid. The best outcomes come when you already know your ICP and core messaging. Then add outsourced capacity to expand into new segments, run pay-per-meeting lead generation experiments, or increase coverage, while holding everyone, internal and external, to the same SLAs, QA standards, and reporting. Operationalize the system: tools, handoffs, and a 90-day plan you can execute. A high-performance team doesn't need every shiny tool, but it does need a stack that works end to end: a trustworthy CRM, sequencing, a dialer for B2B cold calling, clean data, and conversation intelligence for coaching. The standard to aim for is simple. If the tools don't reduce friction and increase learning speed, they're not helping performance. Over the next 90 days, focus on a few non-negotiables. Document your ICP and disqualification criteria. Implement a 30-60-90 onboarding plan, and set a weekly coaching rhythm that includes pipeline inspection plus call and email review. This is also the right window to audit lists, bounce rates, and relevance, because outbound only scales when targeting and messaging stay tight. Finally, decide where you want to build versus partner. If you need to hire SDRs quickly, expand coverage, or launch a new outbound motion, an outsourced sales team can shorten time to pipeline, especially when paired with strong internal AEs and clear conversion targets. When you treat sales like a system and improve it every week, you don't just hope to hit numbers, you create a machine that can.